Hello and welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. This is LZgamer, 12 o'clock location as the red Terran, 6 o'clock location. We have Whiplash as the blue Protoss. Not a goofy cast this time. This is going to be the second match between the two. If you missed the last match for whatever reason, check it out on my channel. By the way, if there's any of the MLG games that you saw that weren't commentated and you want to see commentated, please let me know. I will get them done for you. I am here for you guys. This is going to be on Lost Temple. If you missed game one, LZgamer more or less went entirely Marauder ball. It was Marauder and Medevac, and that just looked about it. I mean, there's an occasional Marine, but it almost felt like a mistake mid-game and late game, and I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't see Whiplash transition to either Void Ray or Phoenixes, because he did have quite a bit of an economic edge for a lot of that match, and really any sort of air assault would have really devastated LZgamer. Particularly feel like just a handful, even just 3 Phoenixes up in the air could have really nerfed that entire Marauder ball and really just made that victory a lot more, what's the word, poignant. Had an exclamation point on it. Unfortunately, Whiplash, a little bit more of a longer game, had a little bit of scare here and there, but LZgamer did get whittled down. But he's a resilient player, and I know that to his stream and to the public on ladder occasionally he will have kind of builds that he shows that aren't necessarily the same builds that he's going to perform in public, but he's really good at execution. He does do a lot of kind of in-house practicing with his opponents, and that is where he experiments on a little bit more, so expect something fresh on this map. Although this is more macro-oriented, this is Lost Temple at cross positions. Whiplash now scouting in the base. He's going to do a little bit of harassment on that SCV off the bunker, and that's going to force LZgamer actually pulling 2 SCVs to cope with that single probe, making sure Whiplash doesn't get any room there to really cap anything. It looks like he, in the meantime, has gone for a pylon after gateway and assimilator, and he's still chrono boosting those probes forward. A little bit late on that pylon, I think, but not doing anything too crazy. It doesn't look like he's going to go for any quick sort of pressure rushes along those lines, and I don't expect him to at these cross positions. But if game one is any indicator, really he's not going to have too hard a time, because he won a macroeconomic victory game one, and this is cross positions on Lost Temple, and that is usually what you see. It's a little bit, I still feel like it's a kind of Terran favored map just because the way the positions work out, but this is definitely a little bit more favorable, I would say, for the Protoss cause. And it looks like Whiplash, his probe is stuck in here, but it's still going to be gathering all the information he wants. Specifically, LZgamer has not taken his Vespene gas yet, which is a huge indication that he's probably going to go into a fast expansion here. And it looks like actually already dropping for that SCV to go out on 400 supply, just 2 Marines at the front. We'll see how he decides to respond. Looks like he actually grabbed the second gas to provide some additional tech, maybe go early robo, get a quick observer out, so just so he can keep an eye on LZgamer, and he's probably going to save up 2 expansions as well. He's already produced that initial zealot, which I almost feel like he doesn't need to. If you already know your opponent is going for a fast expansion, go ahead and get your scouting probe up there and get a stalker out to deny information on the opposite end. Just save those resources, because that zealot is really not going to provide a lot of use here. So there's that first zealot out. It will chase that SCV around, but it's not going to do a lot else for him, I don't feel. And it looks like he's just now mining out of that assimilator, is getting a stalker, and I take it back. Instead of going for an expansion to follow this up, he's in fact going for a gateway now that that zealot has pulled that SCV off the line. It looks like that SCV is probably going to, yeah, it looks like it's just going to check out that 3 o'clock location just to be sure. Additionally, a couple pylons on the corner for additional scouting distance. Cybernetics core is whirling with that warp upgrade. Warp gate, and we see a stalker now starting to middle out. And let's see if it's going to be 2 gate and expansion, but I really feel like Whiplash, seeing what he's seen, should have just really gone for an expansion much more fast, and it looks much more quickly, I should say. And LZgamer trying to sneak a SCV along this back panel to try to, you know, have the troop out there a little bit later, but not, and, you know, get a later scout, and didn't happen though, and continue chrono boosting. Looks like LZgamer already has that natural expansion up, pretty well defended with that bunker, has tacked on the 2 gas now to follow up, and let's see if he just goes straight to factory, and if he's going to do more of that heavy Marauder sort of style again. But really, he's in an economic position where he has a lot of gas, he has a lot of minerals following this up. He's a huge, wow, Whiplash actually hiding 2 of the warp gates across the corner, and actually hiding a Twilight Council as well. So let's see if this pays off for him. Looks like he's headed more towards, and I actually missed that very late, headed towards Templar tech, perhaps a Dark Templar, or I assume Dark Templar rush, maybe even a Dark Templar drop. And let's see if LZgamer's caught off guard. He does have the orbital command. What's going to be critical is that he saves energy instead of just dropping mules non-stop, or if maybe gets an engineering bay up, or some some form of detection. He is placing some additional bunkers here on his front door to provide some additional defense, just because he hasn't seen anything at this stage. He's been in the dark, getting a comm set there. He is seeing the warp gates, really not getting a lot more information because he didn't see critically these two gateways. He's got to be smelling something is up. Now that Templar Archive's finished, I apologize for not having the production tab up at this stage, but it looks like we are actually seeing Psystorm and High Templar to start rather than a Dark Templar push, interestingly enough. So rushing immediately to the, and I don't know that I like this decision unless there's a robotics facility and a warp ray to support this. No robotics facility and no warp ray to support this either. I don't really like this maneuver from Whiplash, because yes, you have High Templar, but really the core of the Terran defense is the bunkers, the planetary fortresses, and Psystorm does nothing to bunkers on the front door. So yes, he might be able to stop some attacks, and it's almost High Templar aren't really good for the sneaky pushes or anything like that. If there's a warp prism on top of it where you could maybe go for some additional attacks along that back edge, I would feel much more confident in this attack that is coming. And it's going to be kind of a cheesy attack. Maybe he's just going to suicide everything he can to try to take out SCVs at the natural expansion, but even then I don't know that it's really worth it for Whiplash. So this almost feels like he's going to go for kind of an all-in attack, and he's going to try to use High Templar as kind of the core of the attack, which will do really well against just Marines, which he knows LZgamer had to be a little bit more heavy going for fast expansion build, but still I don't know that that really accounts for the bunkers. What'll be really nice though is if Whiplash can delay and just kind of try to attract a lot of the SCVs out with the initial attack force the SCVs kind of to repair on the corner, and then Psystorm the crap out of everything that's more or less there underneath. Unfortunately, I don't know that that gives still enough padding to push through, and I don't know that really keeps him economically even. So maybe he'll be able to break through the bunkers, but still I feel like LZgamer still at such an economic lead comparatively, and actually really exploiting this economic lead. He's going starports, is probably going to field some Banshees, that I really don't know that this attack will work. So it looks like he's starting to move up, and this might have worked better against less bunkers perhaps. And it looks like using the Psystorm directly on the Marines before the SCVs really come out there, and it looks like one bunker is going to collapse and the Psystorm is going to kill a couple more units. And it looks like, wow, actually significant damage done, but still, not anywhere near enough to, one, break the front door, or two, even things up economically for Whiplash. So that might have worked against less bunkers, but not working against just the pure amount of bunker. It did still get a lot of kills, but between that and Mules, and wow, Banshee Raven production now from LZgamer to follow this up. Calderon Amulet, but this is a very late expansion from Whiplash. He's going to be really economically behind. He still has no detection to cope with cloaked Banshees if they decide to be fielded, and this is going to be kind of an interesting build from LZgamer, and still going to be very vulnerable because he's just going to be so heavy in Marine. Actually, I don't know, he might not be able to defend this. Never mind, not enough High Templar to really push this. He's still going to be able to get a lot of economic damage done out of this. No, actually, maybe he'll be able to collapse the front door just because LZgamer not able to get enough SCVs to repair, and that Archon just absorbing a lot of damage. Not enough Psystorm otherwise to really stop that additional bunker, but one Banshee is fielded. It looks like that natural, oh wow, LZgamer just going to use what he has. He's going to seal up. Let's see if he can pull his orbital command, if he is going to pull the orbital command back. So losing his natural expansion, which is a big boon to Whiplash, but Whiplash in the meantime is going to have to cope with some Banshees out on the field and out on the ground. So nice, wow. So for everything I'm saying, looks like Whiplash was able to penetrate that natural expansion on a second attempt, and unfortunately the High Templar are going to work with that feedback, could work very, very effectively against this troop alignment. Unfortunately, not a lot of High Templar, and more SCVs getting annihilated there, and now LZgamer down to just 15 troops, but Whiplash only has that single Archon for anti-air, and really needs to get some more ground troops out, and this might force LZgamer into kind of an all-in situation. He's just running around with these Zealots. He still has several Banshees out in the air, but is not mining, and actually more Banshees coming, but is not mining otherwise. Those Zealots will be killed. He will be able to retake that natural expansion, but that has given Whiplash time to hopefully, maybe not, get some anti-air. So there, yeah, we see several Stalkers. He's comsetting that front door. Whiplash just now taking his natural expansion, but has an extreme economic lead. Let's see if he can hold on to it. LZgamer starting to meander back out to start to reproduce there. Going to kill the pylon before proceeding forward, and actually I feel like you'd be better off just rushing forward, starting to upgrade the cloaking field, and now it's a little bit of a rush between, and I don't see Whiplash building a robotics facility anywhere, going cannons instead. So, and I'm not sure I like that decision. There's a robotics facility coming a little bit more late than I would hope, though. So LZgamer started to wander out with these Banshees, do what he can. He's going to have to play economic catch-up either way. Half the harvesters, he is going to be able to maintain a little bit of the mineral output just because of all the mules, and sealing off his front door with, so just transitioning to all air. Looks like a lot of the Whiplash's tech, and this is the problem with hiding it out here, exposed and getting taken out, unfortunately, and Whiplash just has to sack it, just has to sacrifice it, because he really can't afford to wander out and try to defend it. Cloaking should be upgraded momentarily. Let's see if LZgamer can really use it, and I think the High Templar are really going to be the key here for Whiplash, getting High Templar out, both this kind of storm in the dark, and to use feedback when he does have a visual. Looks like he's instead going to back off, feels confident in his economic lead, is just going to play the long-term game, is getting a Stargate to cope with what LZgamer is producing, and that could be very effective, because LZgamer, before where he had the economic output to really do this, I don't think he has the economic output off just 24 harvesters. So he needs to run up, he needs to do some, he needs to go in with a counterattack, he needs to get a lot of damage done just to make sure that Whiplash doesn't overrun him with a much superior economy in the short term, within the next 2 to 3 minutes, essentially. Starting to push up, comsatting forward very intelligently, seeing essentially nothing there, and this is a lot of exposed territory. I really don't think these two cannons are going to be able to cover a lot of this, and just focusing on the Nexus. Again, no defense here, no, the Observer, nowhere to be seen. Okay, there's the Observer actually coming up, but it looks like the Banshee's able to just focus that Nexus down. Oh, never mind! 25 health left, and the Banshee's pulling out. That hurts. Let's see if they wander back in and just go for a suicide assault, though. Oh, that's got to be aggravating. Just one Banshee actually going to the corner, and LZgamer trying to work his way back up. He's got a really significant air force, but still behind economically, and I almost wonder about Whiplash's ability to kind of come back in this. And this is going to be the hero Banshee, I think, that maybe let's see if it can suicide in and do just about 100 damage. And wow, that shield is recharging intimidatingly fast. The Banshee's wandering right back out. They're going to try to probably hide over that natural expansion. Should be able to chew through that first photon cannon without too much trouble, and that Phoenix is going to create a lot of havoc. No defense against that Phoenix, particularly if there's an observer to help scan, and can at least see those Banshees incoming, and all of these troops wandering out. I think that Banshee already suicided, and I don't think it got the Nexus. Oh man, I missed it. Got really close, but not get the Nexus. I apologize for, I guess I could rewind, but the moment is lost. The moment is lost. I'll let it go. LZgamer taking control of the air and doing the very wise thing, going for the island expansion to kind of follow that up. And it looks like the Zelnog Watchtower is going to provide a little bit of information there, but this is where Whiplash, with, he's, as soon as he, Phoenix getting rejected, really needs to get some pylons out and really needs to think about taking some economic ground, but is somewhat pinned back just because of this Nexus, and I don't think cannons are the answer here. Needs more observers, needs more pylon coverage, needs the High Templar, and I would say the feedback, again, would be the key, and a couple more Phoenixes, because this has turned into an air battle. Looks like he's getting Blink, so going to go perhaps Stalker Blink to follow this, but I feel like LZgamer has actually caught up, not economically quite yet. He does have that third, so that should shift pretty rapidly, but really taking absolute control of the air, has a lot of Vikings up, has a lot of Banshees to help support underneath. Additionally, with this Raven in there, he's going to be able to pick off observers. Those Vikings will be able to retreat immediately, and he's going to be able to do all sorts of damage. I don't think these 3 Phoenixes are going to get it cut, particularly with that Raven to support, if that Raven does provide a bit of support. It looks like they're going to try to kite their way back, and really the key to defeating this is, yeah, picking off that Raven and making sure an observer is out in the field. It looks like LZgamer is going to back off. That gold expansion is now up for Whiplash. Switching back to the production tab, Planetary Fortress on the, and that's one thing, once you have a Planetary Fortress, a couple turrets on that island expansion, it becomes very difficult to penetrate. So nice boost. LZgamer continuing to tack on the starports and pump out those Vikings. And wow, that's a pretty intimidating Air Force, I gotta say, even looking at it just right here. So we'll see. It's really up to Whiplash to, again, get kind of the troop composition to cope with it. That Nexus is still very scary low. It doesn't really make a difference, though, if he loses it, so he should be freed a little bit to move out, because no minerals left, so it's more or less a gas expansion. which granted you still want to protect, but it's not as critical. And again, I think just having the observer coverage out on the map and just making sure he has good visuals on this army as it pushes out in the field. Looks like LZgamer 4 wandering SCVs wanting to repair but not able to now. But just keeping an eye on this giant marauding army, it almost reminds me of the original Starcraft Hydralisk versus Corsair Reaver combination here, except it's entirely air for the Protoss, or sorry, for the Terran. Wandering out is going to see a lot of the Vikings, and this is the engagement point. Let's see if he's going to be able to, let's see if LZgamer actually, nice protection of the observers. LZgamer not quite able to engage, but at the very least he is holding Whiplash back as he continues to grow his air army. And let's see how he's doing on upgrades as well, because if he actually tacks in a couple upgrades, this could get really, really scary for Whiplash very, very rapidly, although I think Whiplash is still in a nice situation, adding more photon cannons in, and just really expending a lot of resources in doing so. Some more Banshees. Oh, that's kind of a dangerous forward attack point. Looks like Whiplash is able to defend, but this is a huge Air Force. Send in the Air Force, I guess. Usually you hear the send in the Marines. But looks like combination attack and those cannons being very useful here in picking off kind of those mingling attacks. Some nice Psy Storms to really reject that and point defense drone, completely neutralizing that ground stalker army. More comms set up, and it looks like one observer was picked off, but the second observer was not. Now both observers picked off. The Vikings need to back up, but looks like these Banshees outside of the Psy Storm. Wow, actually nice Psy Storms by Whiplash. The Psy Storms really saving him there because both observers were down. And again, I think, yeah, just this army of High Templar is the way to go. Let's see if he can continue to defend territory. But right now it looks like the economic income is currently in LZgamer's favor. He's gotten more Harvesters out, although many of them are stranded here in the upper left-hand corner. Really got rejected in that last attack, lost a lot of units, and isn't really controlling territory. And really the problem I feel like for Whiplash is, yes, he can get some High Templar out, yes, he can get Stalkers underneath, but eventually he's going to want an army that can go up and do some damage. And really it's almost difficult to do it when you're talking about just exclusive High Templar and exclusive Stalker, because right now he's countering LZgamer, but I don't feel like he's in a fantastic position to go up and assault LZgamer or to take map control with the army. It's just very much, he's very much in a response situation. So this is really what he needs to do. He just needs to have, I would almost hope he produces a Dark Templar or two and just has them patrol the 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock heat, and maybe even take up territory there as rapidly as possible, and maybe get some cannons at the forward positions, although that would be very difficult to hold against the very mobile Air Force of LZgamer. So LZgamer moving up, wants to draw some blood again. Now that 3 o'clock, oh wow, LZgamer coming across this 3 o'clock base, absolutely no defenses in position, just as I was saying, maybe not advisable for this reason, so don't take my own advice. And LZgamer doing a really good job of anticipation and also positioning here. Bring back up the production tab. Looks like level 1 weapons is upgrading as well. Zealot Charge. Kind of curious how Zealot Charge is going to play a part in this down the line. Maybe he hasn't gotten a look at this front door, but I'm very curious to see how Zealot Charge actually will play a part in this. I almost feel like a Mothership would be in order here on Whiplash's side, just to provide some cloaking, or maybe even a mid-game, late-game recall, even though I know that's a little bit less resource efficient. Battle cruisers being produced by LZgamer, so going for that heavy endgame army, is starting to move out to that gold expansion. It's comsatting just in case there's an observer out in the field, or maybe it was just an errant comsat. I think it was for the observers, just to make sure that this isn't being spotted, because this is going to be somewhat vulnerable for a short period of time, perhaps against that weapons refit. Interesting. Against the upgrade. What is even? I'm trying to figure out what that upgrade even is. I think that might be the Yamato cannon upgrade, and I'm just not accustomed to it. So yeah, there it is. Nable's Yamato cannon. That's what it is. Apologies, my Brood War days are getting in the way here. Now Whiplash meandering out, taking 3 o'clock location after not feeling a lot of pressure and moving the observer out to check there. It looks like he is going to see that planetary fortress upgrading. Let's see if he decides to go forward and do some damage to it. He is now pushing forward, but LZgamer I don't know. Maybe he'll be able to defend it with these battle cruisers. Well, actually, I think he's definitely going to be able to defend it with these battle cruisers. But really, the one thing that's going to help LZgamer is that these battle cruisers are fresh. Although, never mind. It's going to be group repair here. I don't know that and LZgamer might just... No, okay, now he's moving back to try to defend it. I thought he might just suicide and attack just because his army was so out of position. I'm looking for the Psy Storm to catch these SCVs. There's the Psy Storm on the SCVs to really crush them. The gold expansion being pulled out of LZgamer's hands. Now LZgamer realizing he's too far out of position, going in for the counterattack with the Banshees. It looks like the Vikings are alongside. I don't see the... not revealing the battle cruisers, apparently. He's going to keep them at home base just in case that attack pushed all the way up. Very quickly picking off, and he's going to take the gold expansion out of his opponent's hands. Still some Phoenixes wandering in. Another nice Psy Storm. More nice Psy Storm. And it looks like those Phoenixes are going to get picked off, but several Vikings getting picked off. That gold expansion getting wiped out as well, though. And oh man, the Banshees wandering into the exact wrong position. A lot of this Air Force getting chewed away. LZgamer in complete retreat there. So 3 o'clock base stands, so most of those probes should just wander there, which isn't too big a loss for Whiplash, because not a ton of... Well, it looks like he's going to retake it because there still are some minerals there. His natural expansion looking a little bit thin, but LZgamer mined out of his natural, mined out of his main, and this is a very expensive army. Very expensive, so he absolutely needs to retake this gold expansion and hold it specifically. Whiplash doing a fantastic job last time, and again, I feel like this is where I'm saying it over and over again, really the feedback and the High Templar is what's really going to neutralize a lot of this army. Not the Vikings, obviously, but the battle cruisers. Having that Yamato taken out of their hands, particularly when it's been upgraded comps at, and you're going to see a lot of Yamato incoming actually here, I assume. Yeah, wow. Tons of Yamato taking out each cannon and wandering in, yeah, just going to wander right in. A big attack trooping to help defend this, so LZgamer is going to have to back out. And that is one problem with the battle cruisers, is they're very, very slow. They do have terrain to work with, though, to wander back and forth against an army that is much more ground-based. And looks like Whiplash has heard me through the commentary screen and has a ton of High Templar, is going to continue to produce High Templar, I hope, is doing fairly well. I think he's still ahead. Yeah, well, never mind, not ahead economically. Does have that 3 o'clock base in his hands. Needs to hurry up and deny that this gold expansion once again from LZgamer. He cannot let LZgamer get any more, any additional income. Kind of an interesting view with just a single, it almost looks out of place, that single cloaked Banshee when it's wandering up there. It's like, hey guys, what's up? Who are you? Anyway, looks like a lot of turrets being produced, so that planetary fortress is going to be fairly secure unless you see another large attack like before. But with battle cruisers out in the field, Whiplash is probably going to want to think twice. Another command center immediately being placed to perhaps plant at probably along the 9 o'clock location. But I don't know that LZgamer is really in a position to take it at this stage. Looks like Whiplash is continuing to mine up. He has a very large army wandering out. Looks like he's very nearly maxed and can actually start throwing a lot of these units. Let's see if he places a pylon in this region with a probe just to get that forward staging area, which I'd really like to see. But LZgamer with a, wow, a lot of battle cruisers, a very scary attack force. A very, very scary attack force. So, and I almost wonder if this command center is actually immediately going to get transformed into a planetary fortress, just to have 2 planetary fortresses to do the unfair Terran advantage thing. It looks like a single Banshee did manage to slip in here to the 3 o'clock. Is going to be able to get a pylon and a couple probes. In fact, it looks like 2, but I don't think he's going to get the Nexus ultimately. And now the large attack force starting to hang out near that natural, but that is a huge amount of battle cruisers. There's the feedback, catching a lot of those troops and getting rid of it. Some Psy Storm as well, well worth their life. And it looks like the battle cruisers having to back off, probably to get group prepared. And it looks like actually not a shove there by Whiplash on the front to force these battle cruisers to engage despite the lack of Yamato and despite some additional damage, and I don't honestly blame him. That's scary looking, really. And wow, doesn't perhaps realize that this Banshee is just chilling at this Nexus and just gobbling up these units as they come, finally sending a Phoenix out, but lost some additional units. Now LZgamer doesn't realize that this Banshee is just kind of sitting there eating the dust. But in the meantime, destroying his own supply depots. Not quite sure what the reason is. Perhaps destroying his own supply depots to get rid of some Yamato so that he can run up and engage without worrying about the High Templar feedbacking him. Interesting. Very unorthodox play there from LZgamer. I'm glad I actually caught that. Very intelligent play, and this is where Whiplash would really want more Void Rays more than anything. So and now starting to go up. He is going to still get a couple Yamatos here and there, but as you can see, he just doesn't have a lot of energy otherwise, so it's going to be up to a ground army, and wow, that just got eaten alive very, very rapidly. But looks like there are Vikings to deal with Void Rays otherwise, and this is big, heavy metal, scary, big engagement here from Whiplash. Only level 2 weapons to try to engage this. He's going to get a couple feedbacks, but not doing as much damage as he really wanted to. Now starting to pour out the Psy Storm, but the battlecruisers just sit there and take it. And they're like, I do not care. Go ahead and Psy Storm me. My ship was built to absorb lightning. And Whiplash's army melting, absolutely melting in front of LZgamer's huge air force. Oh man, that is just scary and a bit unfair. Looks like that I missed a 9 o'clock base stop halt there. A bunch of zealots wandering up there and just denying that, but that probably happened simultaneously. Those cannons, a little bit more of a threat. They should get focus fired without too much trouble though. And I don't think Whiplash can actually reproduce an army quickly enough to really contend with this army anymore. Still getting some Psy Storms, still trying to feedback, but not getting it accomplished. LZgamer needs to get some SCVs actually out to help repair a lot of these battlecruisers, because this is a very weak army, and that Psy Storm now getting intimidating. It's like, they can stand storms up to a certain point. Backing off, and it looks like Whiplash is now holding that 9 o'clock base, and those Phoenixes chasing that command center back to that turret line. Actually, it's not the command center that floated out there, go figure. And a couple observers just tagged alongside those Vikings just to keep an eye on them. So right now Whiplash still does have the territorial control advantage, and he has somehow stopped LZgamer's big battlecruiser fleet, but more battlecruisers are being produced. These battlecruisers should be repaired. The Vikings wandering out, taking down a lot of the troops, and let's see, yeah, the Vikings going to be able to wander in and clear out the zealots otherwise, and some stuff warping in, but I expect these Vikings to just wander up, and let's see if the Vikings are just going to wander up and land. No, he's just going to let the battlecruisers wander up and do it, and I expect that command center to be morphed to a planetary fortress, yeah, to provide some additional latent defense against any sort of additional ground trooping. But there's the mothership. Sorry I didn't have that production tab up once again, but there's the mothership and several Void Rays as well as some carriers. So everything air now for Whiplash. He had the resources perhaps burning a hole in his pocket. Actually, never mind. Looks like it's just kept low because he still hasn't gotten a lot of functioning there. At the 3 o'clock, I forgot that he's more or less down to 1 base, but with a very formidable army and some distraction attack from those, more or less using the carriers to distract, provide some cloaking and provide some cover for those Void Rays while the Void Rays chew through the air, and that's very effective, very effective. Loses his mothership, but did not lose really what he was worried about, which is these Void Rays, and the Void Rays able to eat through a little bit of this ground army, or I'm sorry, a little bit of this air army, specifically taking out a couple of the battlecruisers and allowing these Vikings to get chewed through as well, which will definitely make this air army even more effective. LZgamer trying to take this 9 o'clock base, and unfortunately for Whiplash, he has a lot of harvesters out, but he just hasn't been, he has a lot of territory, but he hasn't been able to harvest it, is what it comes down to. So he hasn't been able to keep up with LZgamer economically, even though LZgamer is producing these huge, expensive troops. Now Whiplash actually kind of forced to do the same, and I almost feel like he's a little bit behind in that regard. And specifically, the upgrades are really going to be a big, big difference. Level 2 weapons, level 2 armor, airwise. So I almost feel like Whiplash needs to get now just to straight feedback, or sorry, not straight feedback. I've been kind of beating that drum too much, perhaps. Needs to get to straight Void Ray to kind of combat this, and only a single pylon completely being deactivated there. 9 o'clock base now being taken out. This is getting out of control. With LZgamer is now seizing domination of this map. Wow, through very creative play, I've got to say, getting already shipped level weapons 3. Unfortunately for Whiplash, he does have bases, but again having difficulty mining out of them, and really does not have the Void Ray army that he needs to cope with this many battlecruisers. Really needed. I do like his interesting air unit combination tactic there. They'll provide the carriers just for some distraction action and then throw in the rest, and LZgamer actually might want to perhaps produce a couple more Vikings. Okay, he does actually have a couple, does have a Viking army out again. The Banshees once again denying, and I'm not even sure where those Banshees came from, denying this 3 o'clock base. Void Ray is going to wander up to take care of them, but will they be in, will this be in time? Okay, looks like he is going to be in time. LZgamer now trying to micro his way out of the situation, but not going to happen. Once again, a Nexus stands with just a sliver of health left, and this one still has only 9 health. Unbelievable. But LZgamer moving into the 9 o'clock. Still is controlling a lot of territory. He is mined out of the gold expansion. The upper left has nothing, and looks like they're just attacking each other to free up some supply. That's kind of an interesting little view there. And yeah, now a lot of his SCV is going to be stranded out, so it's going to be a while before he gets his economy really rolling again as well. So the next couple engagements are going to be really critical as far as who is able to inflict specifically the most economic damage, because LZgamer currently behind economically as far as just the pure tally count goes. And it looks like also, I'm mostly using this Banshee for scouting, I assume, maybe picking off a couple errant units that are out in the field. But here comes that battlecruiser army once again, and where is Whiplash's army? Not anywhere near to try to defend this. That Nexus taken out very, very rapidly. Probes fleeing everywhere. A single cannon taken out by Yamato. Looks like he is floating out to get a probe to his bottom right to get that economic advantage back up. But really, I don't think he can afford to just sit around and hope that he'll win against LZgamer at this stage, particularly with the upgrade difference. Very particularly with that upgrade difference, because yes, he has level 1 weapons, but I don't see him moving towards level 2 weapons, and he's going to need basically a superior air unit count. Actually going Archons as well. Archons do a lot of heavy damage with that level 2 weapons, should help out significantly. But getting that Nexus, and I almost wonder, well, when LZgamer is actually going to take this southern route and really not worry as much about his main, perhaps, because he does have that 9 o'clock kind of slot, and actually moving out to do so now. So yay, Diggity, called it. Probes distance mining here, and I don't think Whiplash can. I don't think Whiplash can win a straight-on engagement here, and I don't think he can really, even with the Archons that he has out in the field, I don't think he can win a flat-out engagement across the board. And I think he economically, he is behind, and he's not going to be able to take this base anytime soon. I think LZgamer is just more or less going to end up ahead. Here's a big engagement here. The Void Rays wandering up, some nice kind of damage there, but it looks like the Void Rays are, I'm sorry, the Vikings are going to be able to kite a bit back to the battle cruiser army, and that is Yamato bait here. A lot of Yamato starting to fire. It looks like there were some feedbacks, but the carrier almost instantaneously taken out. Doesn't look like a lot else landed, but this army is getting crushed very, very rapidly. Some feedback, some Psy Storm, but it does not look like it is going to be enough. Still plenty of battle cruisers to push out, and Whiplash does not have an economy to replenish once again. Well, LZgamer does, killing probes that are distance mining, going to easily kill some of these stalkers on the low ground, and that is it for Whiplash. He has had enough. GG. Really creative play from LZgamer. Really, I gotta say, nice recovery though by Whiplash. Had a lot of opportunities in that match, but nevertheless, LZgamer does win out just through pure mobility and some nice tactics and placement, really, and the upgrades overall. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for listening.